We are officially live in the flesh, folks. We're here with Kid Kat. What's going on?
Yo, let's go. Hope
Hell
everybody's
yeah.
having a good weekend.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So uh what's popping, everybody? I already see some people in here. We got Lazy, we got Richie, Woodsy coming in hot. We got John that's skipping the gym just to be here to get some of this wisdom from Kid Kat today. Michael Long doing some stuff before the draft. Anthony Bowie finally making it to a live. And Chaz Money Minutes was first in here saying, let's go. So for those of you who are, and Don Kim, of course, Don Kim, Millennial Money, and John Screaming Kid Kat. So for those of you unaware, I think for everybody who's in the Discord or have been on any live streams lately from, I've been a little bit lacking, but more like Joe Barretto taking the reins and everything like that. Of that. And if you've ever seen someone super chat drop some insane knowledge in the Discord, well, this is Kid Kat. You've seen him in the Discord. He said a million different things. He drops a lot of knowledge day to day, and I thought it was enough knowledge to share with the world, right? And I thought you'd have some amazing things to share with us today, and I'm just really happy that you've doing this with me today, man. So thank you.
No, I'm just happy to be invited. Also, I saw this in the chat. John, were you a Marine himself? Thanks for your service. Also, we got a new channel member. Love that.
Oh, come on. Oh, no, John. Oh, no. Oh, no, John. No, do not. Don't. Oh, God. So, okay, I'll just say this. So I have memberships on here, but I don't want anyone to do it because it's not offering anything. I had it in there because YouTube said if I activated it, I would get some money. Just to activate it. I like not even share it whatsoever. So I just did it because I'm getting free money from YouTube for doing that. But don't subscribe to it, man. I'm not offering anything whatsoever. But I appreciate you, John, for being the first and the last member on here. Thank you for that, John. I appreciate it. That's so funny. How'd you even see that? I thought it's hidden from like everywhere. I didn't think. I thought you had like share it through like I don't know, links or something. I don't really know. But thank you regardless for that. Oh, Josh Cable says, I'm here from Mexico, but cannot stay. I only have 1 gigabyte roaming today. Oh, my Lord. And yeah, boy, Chad Money Minutes is here. Lazy says, I don't see a member option. It might just be something like desktop or whatever, but just don't worry about it whatsoever. It's nowhere. You're not supposed to see it. John R. No, not necessarily. Oh, John did not serve. He's just adapting and overcoming like the Marines do.
I appreciate it nonetheless.
And we got Tariq Gaines coming in. We know and love him, the meme master in the Discord.
Truly is the best memes, the spiciest memes I've seen.
Right. So we're gonna have some fun today. Oh, we got Matt in here as well. Can't wait to hear what Kid Kat has to say. Absolutely. Craig Gamer, what's up? Love the gold card. No membership join. Okay, yes. Don't do it. Don't do it. Thank you. Oh, it's on old desktop. All right. Just don't worry about it, please. I'm telling you, please don't. And Juan, what's going on? All right, so we're gonna have some fun today, saying what's up to everybody. Kid Kat is someone who has taught me a lot over the past, I would say, a year. That's why I really love the Discord, because the Discord has really an amalgamation of, like, I would say, a lot of the greatest minds in this whole space, the credit card space specifically. And Kid Kat's been in for about a year now, and over that time, he's shared so much in the chats from day to day that has taught a lot of people in there. So I think that's really amazing. So I kind of wanted to get into some of the stuff that I have here on the thumbnail, which is the Amex Gold card. And in case you guys haven't noticed, we're both kind of matching. Kid Kat actually was the first person to ever buy the Anthony Venture branded Amex Gold hoodie. So I'm glad that it's still holding up. I don't know how many washes you put it through, or maybe you never did. But
I'm a heathen. I've never washed it. It's filthy.
Really? It's just because you never wore it. I understand. You just held it. You put it in the closet. It's fine.
No, actually, my wife hates it because she's like, "This is so gaudy. Please do not wear this in public." 100%. This is my fall hoodie. Just so you know.
Oh no, she said it's gaudy. Oh God. Well, listen, I could send her a rose if she's that upset. I could send her a rose gold.
She is a rose gold person, and it hurts, but it's okay.
I figured. Yeah. Listen, my wife's conditioned now. I walk around with this. It's surprising. You actually do get some people come up to you and be like, "What is that?" I've had a lot of people come up to me and be like, "What is the deal with the card?" And I gotta tell them.
Genuinely, somebody I was walking around in Philly with this on, and somebody goes, "Oh my God, is that like an Amex branded hoodie?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to get Anthony sued, but you can buy this. Like, here's the
Yeah.
link." I don't know if
Oh
they actually
wow.
bought one, but
You
yeah.
actually said, well, I appreciate that, man. Well, you know what I thought was funny? Because I put this, I don't know if people know, but I got the QR code on the back that links.
Hmm,
I was gonna have it linked straight to the shop, like to buy another one, like in case people like on the street. Like, that was my idea. My wife said it was stupid, so now it goes straight to the channel where I guess they can find it there.
right.
Which I had someone do. The reason I bring it up is I'm actually I was talking to somebody, and I was just turned around, I had my back to him. All of a sudden, he showed me my channel. I was like, "How do you know about that?" And he scanned the QR code. I thought that was funny.
Nice.
Um, so, but I appreciate that buying that. Um, okay, so and Cesar actually wants to ask, are you going to New Orleans?
So unfortunately, I am not.
Oh no.
My wife has superseded a New Orleans trip to go to the U.S. Open, but we're going to the Open. We have 4 days, so we'll be, just so you know, we are going to be there from Thursday till the follow. Oh, wow, that's more than 4 days, but Thursday to Monday.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's Wong Way Travels, but we have a few tennis guys in the Discord, and like when I say she is the biggest tennis fan, I mean like she lives and breathes it like to her core. So it was either go to NOLA or go to a tennis match and not have my wife be furious with me. So you know,
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I hear that. I hear that. So that'll be fun. So actually, let's talk about that. If you want to open up with that. So what's the deal? I'm somebody who is not following anything at all. So just know that going into it. So U.S. Open, where is that?
that's in New York. So
Okay.
and I'll say this: in the last few years, tennis open matches have become so ridiculously expensive because we went to the Open before we went through grad school back in like 2018, and tickets were like $6 per match. Now, granted, the first few rounds, you have no idea who you're going to see.
Hmm.
And so we went to the round of 64, the round of 32, and the round of 16 for $100 total. This past year, tickets are starting out at like $100 for the round of 64, and then like they just scale
Hmm.
exponentially from there on.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a great time. Like just to be fair, I am not a tennis guy. I watch tennis. I enjoy tennis. I enjoy being dressed up and fancy because like it's a certain attire you go and you like just you go to the whole experience. It's like going to the Kentucky Derby, but just like a little toned down.
Hmm.
Um, and so like my wife really loves it. Her whole family is into tennis, so I by osmosis got into tennis. Um, but no, it's a great time. We have the U.S. Open, and that's in New York, and then we were planning on going to the Australian Open in January, but we had some things going on with some family stuff that like
Hmm.
superseded that, so we canceled most of our international travel.
Hmm.
But we're going to Indian Wells in March, and that's in Palm Springs, California.
Hmm.
So we actually have a nice hotel redemption there. We got a pretty good value at a Marriott at a JW, so proud of that. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, no, she lives and breathes tennis. We are hoping, fingers crossed, that everything works out so we can go to Wimbledon next year
Hmm.
in London. Well, Wimbledon's like 30 minutes outside of London, but yeah.
Nice. So do you have any cool? Because I know New York has crazy hotels. Do you have any of those booked? Or yeah.
Yeah, so for the first night that we get there, that's where we're doing like also apologies. The person that makes my bills so high is actually yelling and he's getting his diaper changed right now.
Oh
So if you hear
no.
somebody or the pitter patter of cheese block feet, that's my son.
Oh my god.
Um, so we're staying for the first night at the Ritz Carlton in
Hmm.
Midtown. So we're flying into JFK. We're gonna go there, hang out for the night, do a little fanciness, and then after that, we're driving over to Flushing. So we're staying at the Renaissance
Hmm.
in Flushings, and we'll be there the whole time because it's a 5 minute walk to the arena from there.
Nice. So I might be wrong. I'm trying to remember. I remember because Calvi is so crazy. We were looking into it. Is I think it might be the St. Regis or it's the Ritz. One of them has a room that has a butler. We were going. Is that at the
So
Ritz there?
I think it's both of those actually.
Oh no.
So we did not book a butler room because that was like 16 grand a night.
Oh, is it real? Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I wasn't doing that. But we did book the like a club. So no one get mad at me, but we paid cash for this, right? I know there's some folks that like feel, oh, never pay cash for hotels. How else do you build points outside of subs? Like I don't get it.
It's true.
um, but like we paid a pretty penny for that, but we got some discounts from don't tell anybody that I do this, but we used our UPenn codes from back when we were students and
Oh,
when we were still working at UPenn,
okay.
and we got a pretty sizable discount because it was supposed to be like 2,600 a night, and we ended up getting it down to like 700, which
Really?
yeah, like some of those codes are like humongous. Now, granted, you still have to be able to show like I granted I've never been asked for it, but you have to be able to show like ID or stuff. We have our little UPenn alumni cards that we can show
Hmm.
and be like, hey, yeah, see, I'm affiliated. I do a thing. But yeah, so
Wow.
we pay cash, and that's actually how we hit the last part of our Bonvoy Brilliant sub from April.
Mm, mm. So then, okay, so with the Brilliant, then are you able to stack that in combination with this stay? Like, does it have club awards and stuff like that?
No, not for the Ritz Carlton.
Oh,
So, and that's where I like Marriott. I've enjoyed my time there so far. I have about 54 nights full
oh
in
wow.
from work spend, but it's it's the little matrix. Do I get benefits? Do I not get benefits here that like pisses me off?
Hmm.
Um, the issue there is that like you don't get any additional benefits for being a titanium member. Like it's just like, oh yeah, that's great, good for you.
Hmm.
Now we could get upgraded. We could not get upgraded, but we booked a club level room just in case.
Hmm.
And like I'll say, out of those 54 nights that we've had, you'll stack the points because we paid cash. We used the Brilliant to book it, so we'll get 23 and a half points per dollar. But like it'll be nice to get a free breakfast or like anything.
Right. So if you so Marriott was something I wanted to get more into, I would say in a year or maybe 2 years from now. I wanted to kind of go ham with them. I feel like I did, the Hilton. Now I'm kind of going all Hyatt, Marriott after. So I'm very unfamiliar with a lot of Marriott hotels outside like the lower ends that I used to do years ago. So what's the deal with the like at least a Ritz Carlton or these higher level Marriotts? Because we talk in the Discord. A lot of people mention like status recognition is not necessarily super high, or maybe some
Yeah.
of the benefits that come with the higher status, like you mentioned, titanium, maybe aren't so high. So, like, at least in your experience now with the 54 nights, where do you kind of rank it alongside some of these other bigger brands?
Yeah.
Like,
So I will say compare and like I just want to say like this is just my own experience, right? So I'm going to use
mhm,
an I statement here.
right.
Um, I've not been super impressed. I
Hmm.
realized like now let me be more specific. I've been impressed with the quality of property. I've not been impressed with the recognition of status or the use
Hmm.
or value of status there. Um, I will say if you are a business traveler, Marriott is fantastic because once you hit those 600 nights and those 10 years of platinum, you have the status forever, for life. Like it's a great thing to have. No matter where you go, you're going to get status recognition.
Hmm.
Um, I personally, Hilton is my number one. Like, just going to be realistic about it. I also prefer, and this has changed a lot since me and my wife aren't traveling alone anymore. We're usually traveling with my son. Well, I'm certain you hear. He's chasing our dog. Um, but we're traveling with our son. And if it's not just our son, we're traveling with my in laws, we're traveling with my mom and my
Hmm.
sister and my nieces and nephews. So, like, what we're expecting out of I won't say luxury, but a higher end stay is different now. So like we're
Hmm.
looking for a place that like makes me feel welcomed and makes me feel like, oh, the money I'm spending with you is well placed, right? So like that's why I
Hmm.
love a Waldorf Astoria. My
Hmm.
favorite luxury hotel that I've been to, at least domestically, has been the Waldorf Astoria Park City, and
Hmm.
it's purely just because they made my family feel welcomed. And like, granted, I know that doesn't like account for a lot of people, but like we travel with our kids. We want our son and my nieces and nephews. Uh, I want them to experience something because, like, as a kid, I never had the chance to experience that,
Hmm.
and neither did my wife. And like something that irks me to my soul right now is my wife is a self-proclaimed La Quinta girly, and
Oh.
she does not care about the quality of a room. She's like, does it
Oh
have bed
no.
bugs? Is it clean? Can I sleep there? If it checks all three of those, that's all my wife cares about. She does not care if it's fancy. She does not care if there's a spa. She's like, is there a pool so we can go play mermaids? Cool. I don't care about anything else, right? And so like we've got two different styles of like exploring and doing things. Like if we, she calls it, I'm the grasshopper, right? She's the ant. So like when we're talking about spending and saving, um, she's happy to go to a Wingate, a La Quinta, a Days Inn. She's like, if I'm not murdered and it's clean,
Oh my.
that's it, right? Like
Oh,
it's rough. It's rough.
I'm gonna get her a shirt that says La Quinta Girly. She'll wear that one.
Oh, 100%. Like genuinely 100%, I guarantee she would wear it.
Oh my
Out, no
goodness.
questions asked.
But even after showing her the luxury, like some world of Astorias, she's still like, it's whatever.
My wife is quite literally like, "This is fantastic. You pay for points using this, right?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like,
Hmm.
"Okay, don't spend money on this."
Oh no.
So like we have
Okay.
two very different scarcity mindsets where it's like
Mm,
her scarcity mindset is I have money. I will never get money again. We have to hoard it. I am a dragon. Mine is I have money finally. Let's go do stuff. I'm going to get more money.
right, right. I see. I see. Save more versus earn more mentality there.
Which in
Interesting.
fairness, her mindset is usually right. And that's not just because I don't want to fight, but yeah.
Right. So that's interesting. I have more questions on that, but I would be remiss if I did not shout out Xavier for the first super chat of the night. Thank you so much,
Let's
Xavier,
go.
for that. And being here as always. We're always watching you, killing it on Joe's and others. Thank you, Xavier, for being here. And then also Woodsy came in hot. Sorry, I was not did not see this earlier, but Woodsy. Oh wait, why am I seeing Tariq? Sorry, Tariq. Uh, Woodsy, here's some money for the NOLA trip. Damn, 20 spot. That's crazy. Woodsy, thank you
Nice.
so much for that, man. I really appreciate it. All this time, Woodsy, I've always looked at your profile picture, but I never actually asked what it is. I mean, it's a clock. It's got some cogs. It must be from like a band or something. I wonder, Woodsy. I want to know what is your profile picture. but thank you for that, Woodsy. That means a lot, man. I really appreciate that, and for being here, on a Sunday with us today. So thank you for that. I'm having issues moving. Here we go. Okay, now I can see some stuff here. Kind of. So thank you, Woodsy. Thank you, Xavier, for that. Um,
Shout out to Michael for. I hope we do actually see each other at Wimbledon next year. Like we should actually plan that out.
oh, he's going there as well. Cool. Oh yeah. So Michael Wong says going to Wimbledon. Maybe I'll see you there. Cool. Bove says I'm boots on the ground in New York City. Are we organizing something? Because I can get things popping from here.
I'm
Possibly.
ready for it. 100%.
Interesting. Richie is from Flushing. That's back when Citi Field was still Shea Stadium. Oh, it's not Shea Stadium anymore. It's Citi Field now. Oh God, I didn't know that. Damn. Kiki's in here. What's popping, Kiki? Mojo. What's going on, Mojo? Emma never really got into tennis. It would be flushing money down the toilet. God damn it. Always with a freaking pun, man. He's
I
always
love that.
coming
I
in.
was.
Matt Clausen left the shades, the home plate. Fanta, what's going on? Been a while, man. Mr. Do Your Research is here. What's going on? Say what's up to everybody. So just saying, Ritz Carlton and LXR are my top properties so far. Interesting. Okay, cool. So I guess so that's interesting. You say that you've been impressed by the properties from Marriott, but not necessarily by, I guess the status recognition is a little more inconsistent, I guess, across the board for you.
Yeah.
Um, I was wondering too, because I thought that was interesting what you said. You said I really like Waldorf Astoria because it made my family feel welcome. And that's, I've never really traveled in great groups, just me and my wife. But every time that I've gone to at least higher level Hiltons, I've always felt very welcomed. Even some higher level Hyatts, not fully always. It almost looks like Hilton at the highest level does have that upper echelon of service. Would you say that's accurate, or maybe I just haven't done enough?
No, I would agree with that. I think I will say this: I have never had a bad stay at a Conrad or a Waldorf. Um, Now, I've been to some. That really wasn't even a bad stay. That was just I was sick. I've had some less than stellar experiences with some higher end Hilton, like specific Hiltons.
Hmm.
I've only been to one LXR, and that's the one in Vegas. But I have a different standard of what I'm expecting in Vegas, right?
Hmm.
And when I say like they make me feel welcomed, something that's really cool that you should check out for anybody if you're traveling with little kids. So my son is going to be 2 this year.
Hmm.
Every Waldorf Astoria has a different family package. So, for example, in Chicago, they have a little downtown setup that they'll set up for your kid, and like it'll be in the room on the floor, so they can just play with the buildings and stuff. And they're like made out of blocks. They're like a Lego setup.
Wow.
In
Hmm.
Park City, they put up a full like tent for us, and they had like a little like pretend plushy campfire with like marshmallows and everything. And they
Hmm.
have fireplaces in the room, and they gave us s'more setup, so we made s'mores over his campfire. So like, there's
Wow.
just those little things that like, granted, my son's too young to remember this right now, but like as he gets older, and my nephews and my nieces, they love that, right? Like they see that stuff and it goes, "Oh my God, Uncle Craig, Auntie Sarah, like this is the greatest thing ever," right? And like it's an experience. And I want to be like very clear: you do not need to spend a ton of money to have a great family experience, but it's something that I love, and I've just not seen that on the Marriott side. Now, granted, I want to be like really specific to say like this is the first year that I've gone full steam ahead on Marriott. I've only had 5 Hilton stays this year.
Hmm.
So like of those 54 nights that, and granted, of that 54 nights, I'd say 34, 35 of those have been either courtyards, Four
Hmm.
Points, or Sheratons. So
Hmm.
like again, work travel. So like nothing that I'm going to get like super recognition for anyway. So I'm like tempering my expectations there.
Hmm.
But we've done some luxury collection stuff in Chicago. We've done JW in Indianapolis, in Chicago, in New York. Uh, we've done Ritz Carlton in Philly. We've done the Ritz Carlton in Chicago. We've gone to some nicer places with those other 20 stays.
Hmm.
And either A, you're not getting an upgrade, which I want to be like very clear. I understand titanium is not the highest level, and even if it was, how many people are getting titanium without ever setting a foot in a Marriott, and you're just getting it because you have 2 credit cards or 3 credit cards or whatever, right? Like, I get that, but also, for more of our like more expensive cash stays, I expect a little something. And granted, that's my own fault for having a different expectation for point stays versus cash stays.
Hmm.
And like, I've never worked in the hotel industry, so I can't tell if they can tell what the redemption was, whether it was cash or points or just a free night reward. But like,
Hmm.
it doesn't feel great to spend $700 at a Ritz Carlton and then you don't even get breakfast and you have to go to the club for lunch or something, right? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I paid for the club room, but it would also be nice if, oh, you're a titanium member or you're an ambassador member. Like, be very clear. I've never even had no one is even at a Ritz Carlton or these luxury properties have ever said, "Thanks for being a Marriott Titanium member." Like,
Oh wow.
never. Not even that. Like now, I
Hmm.
will say at the JWs and at the St. Regis's that we've been to, thanks for insert blank status.
Hmm.
Here's a, and I guess that's the other thing is the inconsistency. So, for example, the JW in Chicago and in Indianapolis, they just give you a $10 voucher, and it's not even per person. It's just for the status holder.
Hmm.
What am I supposed to do with $10? And it's not even per night; it's just per stay.
Oh, oh, jeez.
Yeah, like that doesn't even cover the cost of like a drink. So like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do with this? Thanks, I guess. But
Hmm.
yeah, like it's just inconsistent. But I also want to like save. I try to be like as pragmatic. Well, wow, English is hard. Pragmatic about stuff as I can to say like, okay, I didn't get recognition here, but also I've never gone international at a Marriott, right? I've
Hmm.
never gone high end international at a Marriott. So like
Hmm.
there are different things that I want to test out before I say the program is trash, right? Because that's
Right.
there are 2 things in the credit card community that irritate me to no end. One is people saying that a program is trash and they've not gone through the ins and outs of it. Because, like, you doing research, like, for example, Sledge is Mr. Do Your Research. Sledge has probably gone through and done these things, right? But, like, for people that are just like, oh, yeah, I read this article at the Points Guy or I saw this on Reddit, you don't know what you can't say with, like, definitiveness that, like, you know what the ins and outs of this program are. I can't, and like to that, I also say there are some things I really, really love about Marriott. I don't
Hmm.
know if anybody else is bothered by this, but I want to see the full price of the room before I click on it. Like, right? That's what irks me about Hilton. I'll see, oh,
Hmm.
it's $112 a night, and it's also $112 a night at Marriott. Great. I click in. By the time you add fees, taxes, and everything else, it's $155 at a Hilton. It's still
Mhm.
112 at Marriott. It's a small thing, but like I love that, right? Like I love the fact that like I can genuinely see what the price is and there's no gotcha moment. I
Mm.
still hate that I pay my resort fees even when it's like a point stay, but like there are pros and cons here. And so like I can't say that Marriott is trash until I finish all these other things. Now granted, that's a me thing. Plenty of other people will say it's trash. I don't want to go anymore. Fine, right?
See, I think
Also,
the
shout out to
Mhm.
Oakland for the Indiana representation. We love it.
Hey, let's go Oakland. Let's pop it. And I actually, on that point, John says truth. To that is, it's funny because ever since I had Sean Lane on the podcast, that was such an amazing freaking podcast to do with Sean Lane. And for those of you unaware, I mean, I think he's done more, more than
When I
like
grow up, I want to be like Sean with the
exactly,
redemptions.
exactly. So he came in here, and I will say he is like the only person, where I get heavy, but in like this general space where all of us on our level, I would say Sean's like the only one that I think can really say for definitively all these different programs and what's good and what's bad. And he did run through it. If
Yeah,
you watch that one, he ran through every single program. He's been like almost the highest. I think he has been like the highest level in like 5 or 6 different hotel chains. Like insanity, insanity. But if I'm just like if we're not on his level, then I'm just not gonna say anything whatsoever. I'm just gonna.
no, 100%.
Yeah.
Like even to that point, like he's done program change. Like I've granted, I'm a Hyatt explorist, but that's from a match. I've not gone
Mm,
through anything for Hyatt. Now, granted, I've stayed at like 3 Hyatts this year within the last month, and
mm,
I like it. I think that the lower end Hyatts, like a Hyatt Place or a Hyatt House, are better than some, if not most, of the lower end Hilton and
yeah.
Marriott properties. But I still can't speak to it definitively. Now I can tell you about the Wyndham program because again, I have a La Quinta girly in the house, but you know, how many people want to have natural diamond status for Wyndham?
For real. Yeah, very true. Very
A
true.
lot of
Actually,
stinkers in there.
funny, Rodrigo actually mentions why does no one care about the Wyndham earner business card? Right.
I do
Which
care about it. They
people
won't
care
give me
about
the
it.
card.
Yeah. We care now. Listen, a lot of people have run the gamut. Well, maybe not a lot of people, but a good amount of people have run the gamut on Wyndham. They've talked about it. Yeah, it's just hard to get for some people, but it's powerful. Although, did you hear about the wasn't there something about Vacasa and like
Yeah,
that
so they
partnership or
devalued the
whatever
program.
devalued?
So I'll say this: when we go out, I rarely book B&Bs anymore. I
Mm,
don't want to clean, right? Like I know that the cleaning charge is built into a hotel, so like I'm just not seeing it.
mm,
I don't want to clean up after myself. I know that sounds so lazy. I have a 1 year old, a dog, and several other kids that run through my house, and I clean up every single day. And no matter how much you clean up, it's always dirty by the end of the day. I don't want to clean someone else's house when I'm on vacation.
mm. I could see that. I could see that. Interesting. Hmm.
But no, Vacasa, they cut a lot of the program, a lot of the houses that you could book with points.
Mm,
And I'll say this: Wyndham has a fantastic program. Like I know there are a lot of stinkers at the lower and mid end level, but like Wyndham is genuinely a powerful program domestically and in South America and the Caribbean,
hmm.
and a lot of status matching that you can do throughout that. And I'll just say, like, I think we don't, as a community, put a lot of focus on Wyndham or programs that don't have like cards that you can use too often outside of like, well, yeah, but like Wyndham specifically, just because there aren't a lot of like super high end luxury properties.
Hmm.
But I think there's some really, really fantastic properties, especially if you get some of the ones that have been newly renovated, or if you're like, I'm not telling anybody to go and gamble. But if you're a gambler, or if you're into casinos or things like that, there are some great Wyndhams.
Hmm. Definitely, definitely. I thought what was also interesting here is Michael Wong. He says kind of hard to stay at Hilton on award points. Points are too high per night. So how do you feel? So kind of going into these two programs like Hilton and Marriott. This is how I've always felt. I've kind of felt like, I can very easily earn a lot of my Hilton points through all the cards, and hopefully you can upgrade, downgrade, what have you. Hit the welcome offers. Maybe you get no lifetime links. Okay, cool. You can earn a good amount of Hilton points through the welcome offers on the cards. And I know you can earn a lot on the cards, but for like when I did the podcast at Lonnie, that was my question. It was like, Yeah, I could use my Hilton cards for everything, but I really still, with my spend being so low, I'm not going to earn really enough to even be able to stay anywhere really very, very often. Um, and that's why I've kind of been opting more into booking Hiltons for cash
Yep.
through like MasterCard or FHR and these types of programs that, give me extra benefits and then also, give me points on the back end, like you said, cash stays and getting base points and all those different things. But how do you feel with earning points in both programs for you personally?
So I will say, so I'm going to address that, and then I want to touch on something else too.
Mm,
Um, I think that we have, as a community, like points and miles community, misconstrued that like every single thing I do has to be on points, right?
yeah.
And me personally, I think it's unrealistic because like unless you are spending, who's it? I think it's Keith and Jim in the Discord. Unless you're
Mm,
spending like 90 grand a month, it is
right.
unrealistic for most of us to say we are doing no no cash stays at all, right? Like it just is what it is, right? Like,
Mhm.
um, and also like I hate when people get mad about cherry picking redemptions. Of course, you should be cherry picking redemptions because you want to get the most value out of your points,
Mhm.
right? But as far as earning those points, I will say this: you can earn a ton of Hilton points. Now, I'm fortunate enough that like my employer lets me book my stays on my own personal cards and I get reimbursed. So like I want to say like that is not everyone's situation. So some of that burden about earning enough points is lessened the blow for me. So like
Mm.
it's pretty nice to earn 34 Hilton points per dollar, and I'm spending $1,000. So I've got 34,000 points right
Yeah.
there, right? Like that, I'm a third of the way off one
Hmm.
stay to an LXR or a Waldorf Astoria standard room, right?
It's true.
So that's one thing there. I will also say Hilton cards earn so much better than Marriott cards. And granted, most
Mm.
Marriott stays you can get at a little bit of a cheaper rate, but
Mm.
it's just not a one for one, right? Like, again, I spend a ton on groceries. I can use the Hilton Surpass to build out 6 points per dollar on my grocery
Mm.
spend. Now, granted, it'd be better if I used it for on my Amex Gold card, but you know, you can still build that out. I can get gas points. I can get 3x per dollar just for everything. Whereas for Marriott, at least on the Bonvoy Brilliant, you're getting 3x points per dollar on restaurants and flights. There's no way. I'm telling you right now, I don't care if you are the biggest Marriott loyalist in the world, do not put your flights on a Bonvoy Brilliant card for 3 Marriott points. That is an absolute waste of your time. You would be far better off putting that on any, quite literally, nearly any transferable currency card. My mind of choice, platinum. Love it. You can say I'm an Amex fanboy. I won't be mad, but hey, neither here nor there. Um,
So,
but like back to the point of Hilton, I think they're so expensive because you can earn so many points, right? Like if they let's say
yeah.
that they cut the price to all Hilton redemptions by 30% right now, they would also have to then cut the earning rates of all of our Hilton cards by 30%. I think that it kind
Mm.
of balances out because the Hilton cards are such good earners for Hilton, not for other things, right? Like if you are not a
Yeah.
Hilton loyalist, do not spend on Hilton cards.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's just my take on it. But I agree with you. I think that there are. I also think too, if Hilton had a similar setup to IHG where it was the fourth night free instead of the fifth night free, this would alleviate a lot of the issues that Hilton has. And I don't think many people would have any complaint about that either.
It's very true. Yeah, there's a lot of times where you stay just 4 nights somewhere. It's or at least you could. It would be easier to stay 4 nights instead of 5 nights in a lot of cases, surprisingly, that I've noticed. So that makes a lot of
Very rarely
sense.
am I staying
Hmm.
someplace 5 nights, just being realistic.
Yeah, for sure. Sam actually mentions the cost of Marriott versus Hilton point stays are about the same, but the Hilton points earnings rate is so much faster. Um, you know, depending on each property. I could see it. Chad says the Hilton card, in conjunction with even silver status, supercharges earning rates at Hilton properties. For sure, yeah, with all the base
Absolutely.
points, you have 12.5, 17, or being 18, and then with your card, you have the Aspire, so you're getting, 34x, per dollar spent at Hilton, which is insane. Um, and Chet actually mentioned something interesting and insight. I'm thinking that maybe the franchising agreements may be why it's fifth night free as opposed to fourth night. Hmm.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point, actually.
Hmm.
Because you also got to think the hotels are incurring that cost too, like
Yeah.
the actual properties themselves.
Hmm. That makes sense. The
Also, I
one
need to give a
sailor.
shout out really quick. Chad is
Mhm.
the first person that I ever started watching in this community. So like shout out to Chad. And then it was Calby back when he was still doing the cat videos.
Oh,
So
really?
Chad and Calby. Just need to give the shout out there.
Oh, wow. Let's go, Calvi. Calvi always makes it into a stream every every time there's a stream. Calvi gets mentioned, and yeah, Chad's awesome as well. I think he also mentioned with their larger footprint, it's a lot more moving parts as opposed to other hotel companies with smaller footprints. Then he says, "Wow, bro, much love." Very interesting. So I guess you know what? I didn't want to go back to it, but I thought it was. I've heard it enough that I actually want to hear your take on it anyway, and then I have something else I want to get into. But the last
Yeah.
thing was going back way back, as I forgot my question at that point. But it was about making your family feel welcome at some higher level Hiltons. I wanted to know because a lot of people ask when they're traveling with families. Something I can't answer because it's just me and my wife. What has, in your experience, been like the best hotel chains for traveling with large groups of people in your family? You think the rooms, all that?
Yeah. Um, so I will say for me, the best rooms that have been for travel, I love a Hilton double with a double queen with a pull-out sofa.
Hmm.
Because here's the thing, I'd say 60% of the time it's just my wife, myself, and my son, right? So it's only three people, no
Okay.
worries. However, anyone that has kids, you know this. My son sleeps like a Power Ranger, and I just can't be in the bed with three of us. So either we're going to put him on the floor, but then he's going to wake up halfway through the night and hop in the bed with us anyway, or we'll just have two separate beds and we flip flop who's he's in the bed with for the night, right?
Hmm.
Um, I will then say, and surprisingly, it's a chain that I do not stay with a lot. Hyatt, right? Like I think Hyatt
Hmm.
rooms are usually at like a Hyatt place or Hyatt house. It's usually a little bit bigger, and they do have those sofas that you can have and
Yeah.
somebody can lay out on there. Um, Now, one thing that I will say as well, Wyndham is nice just because the points values are just so high because it's for some of these other chains, I'm just going to book one room and we're going to all just pile in there, right? For Wyndham, I'm perfectly fine booking two rooms at 7,500 points per night and just saying,
Hmm.
like, hey, one adult in this room, one adult in that room, kids split up, and we'll try to have a conjoining room so you can run back and forth. But um, I think Wyndham is really great there. And also, I want to say, too, like, it's it is hard to travel with kids in general because I love them. I love my son. He's the most fantastic bundle of joy in the world. I've already been traveling for 4.5 hours. He's tired. I'm tired. We're driving for 3.5 hours. We get to the hotel. He's hungry now. I just want everyone to be quiet. So you just try to book the simplest thing possible. And if the
Hmm.
simplest thing possible is not me booking on points and it's just me booking a cheaper property on cash, I'm 100% doing that, right?
Hmm.
I think, and again, I want to say sometimes our points aren't for our kids, right? Like sometimes we'll do point redemptions with our son or with our nieces and nephews, but for the most part, I'm just looking for the cheapest, cleanest, nicest place to be. And then
Hmm.
sometimes it just so happens that the thing that meets the criteria for what we need is a Waldorf Astoria, right? You
Hmm.
have dual beds and a pull-out sofa with a conjoining room that mirrors that setup. It's not because I'm trying to let them live in this lap of luxury. No, that's not it. I want you to experience nice things, but I also want you to know that like it is okay to not spend a ton of money because like realistically, and I know this happens in the Discord, people think I spend like a ton of money. I spend a ton of money on food. As
Yeah.
far as anything else, we don't really spend money.
Hmm. So actually, I think that's a perfect segue to I guess the thumbnail of this, which I thought was one of the more crazy things that I learned about you with regards to how much value you get out of your Amex Gold card.
Yes.
We know that we know the topic of the Amex Gold is very very run through right now in the community. A lot of people are talking about it, but I thought you above anyone else had a more unique situation that can shed a little light into why certain things make sense and why they don't. So can you explain like the Amex Gold card from your perspective? It's on your shirt. It's the thing you use a lot. What's the deal? What are you spending on it? What value are you getting out of it? I gotta hear.
Absolutely. So I need to give a caveat because sometimes people are like, "Are you feeding an army in there?"
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we
Yes.
are. I want you to know my father-in-law is one of 21. So
Wow.
yes, yes. Put that in
Same
perspective.
parents?
My uh, so so my father-in-law is 72 this year.
Oh
His
wow.
dad, if he was alive, would be 130. He had his last kid at 72. He has two different
Whoa.
wives. The first wife had 11 kids. The second wife had 10 kids. My father-in-law is a part
Wow.
of the second set of kids. At the my wife's family reunion, it is quite literally anywhere between 700 and 1,300 people for a
Oh
family
my
reunion.
God.
And
1,300 people.
you would think,
What?
you would think that they don't know each other. The first time I went to a Cook family slash Fears family reunion, it was like grab hand. This is insert blank 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 blank, and they just walk me down the line for like 2 hours of meeting people. And then the
Wow.
father-in-law looks at me and goes, "So, do you remember who the first person you met was?" And it's like, absolutely not.
Oh
No.
my Lord.
To Eric's
That
point, they didn't have cable. So yes, that man was very busy.
what oh Eric. That was busy. Oh man. That is insane. Oh, Oakland, before we move on, because that's insane. Thank you so much for the $7 super chat, Oakland. Appreciate you, man. Team Gold card, let's go. Just change it a little bit. Team Classic. Okay. But I'm
There we
kidding.
go.
Um, but no, I appreciate you, Oakland. Thank you so much for that. Wow. So that's crazy. So anywhere from 700. So have you been? So that's family reunions. Have you been at? Because I was at a wedding, my sister's wedding, and I thought it was a lot. It was a big venue. It was like 100 people. Have you been to an event like that where it literally was that like over 1,000 people?
So put in perspective, I have never been more happy for COVID ever. We got
Really?
married. So me and my wife have been together since college. So we got started dating in 2013. We
Mm.
got married in 2020. Um,
Hmm.
we had a small wedding, like super small wedding. It was just our intimate families, parents, grandparents, siblings.
Hmm.
We had our big wedding in 2021. Now you remember the second cycle of COVID came through right at 2021,
Hmm.
and I have never been more happy because we had to cut that list. Anthony, we had 874 people on our initial list.
Oh my God. How do you even create a list like that? How could you remember 872 people? That's impossible. There's no
That's
way.
the crazy part. And so we cut that down, and we ended up having 230.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, 230 still.
And
That's
right, and that's a combination of our friends, my family, and her family. And then put in perspective, like her mom is only one of three, right? So it's not like huge on that side. And then my mom is one of three. My dad is one of six, which six kids, that sounds like, wow, that's a lot of kids. And then you
yeah,
hear, I'm one of 21. It's
21.
like, oh my God, get
That
off of her, man.
that unhand her. MR says, I don't even think I've met that many people in my life.
Yeah.
Oh
I'll be honest,
Lord.
I have not met that many people in my life. Some of my family, I love them dearly. They're NPCs.
I mean,
When
well,
I go to those groups, sorry.
just walking around. Um, so of those, let's say 1,000 people in your family, I mean, there's got to be insane iterations of your people, right? So how many how many different looking people do you have? Like people from all walks of life, different countries
Oh
and stuff. It's
yeah.
got to be.
So put in perspective, my wife, her mom is Polish, and then her dad, they're from Denora, Pittsburgh, or right outside of Pittsburgh. Don't know if we have any like Denora, Monongahela, or Schuylkill Valley people. That's where they are from. So like there's just like wild iterations of people. Some of our cousins are German and they only speak German, and then they've
Wow.
learned English for family reunions. Some of her cousins, like when they're coming to her dad's side, like it's just people from all over the country. Um, Her mom's side of the family, they didn't speak English in the household until her mom, right? Like,
Wow.
and her mom is 58, 59. My side of the family, I'm black, and then we're
Hmm.
what is it? Choctaw Native American from Mississippi, right?
Hmm.
So like we have when you go to one of our family reunions, it looks like those diversity posters that you get at a college like pick. So like it's just like everybody hanging out. It's like, yeah, we're all family. And it's like, yeah, I love that thought process. It's like, no, quite literally, we are all family and we're like first cousins.
Wow. That is, as Joe always jokes about the United Nations. Anytime I guess your
No,
your
seriously,
family comes
100%.
together, that is so wild. See, it's like it's funny because I am complete opposite. My family is the smallest. Like quite literally, I think I only know of my immediate. I don't know, maybe 7 people that I like know of, and then there's like some people in Italy that like I've seen on Facebook that have a similar thing, and it's like a few. But like if I can count everybody, it's like I don't know, 10 to 15, like 10 to 15 people, literally that I could probably get and who I'm related to. It's the smallest, so I have no idea what that life is like.
Put
That's
in
insane.
perspective, we feed about 10 or 15 people a week. Also, shout out to Juan for the 10 spot.
Juan Garcia, Team Classic Gold for the trophy. Sorry, Rose Gold. Let's go, Juan. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate
Um,
you, Juan.
but when we're talking about like actual who is in my
Thank you,
nuclear
man.
family, so there's myself, there's my wife, our son, sister-in-law, her son, mother-in-law, father-in-law, and then their parents live like so my wife's grandparents on her mother's side live like 2 miles from they live in an unincorporated place. They have a big farm
Hmm.
with like a cool little lake. I'd never gone fishing until then. So it's grandfather, grandmother, aunt, and then there is our family and Manny, who we just like. He is there. He is a part of our life.
Hmm.
And then there's Artemis, which is my dog. She's a pitty. There's Nike, who's our Chihuahua. There's Apollo, who's a random terrier. And there's Fozzie. I don't know what Fozzie is, but he's a tiny little white fluffy dog. So
All
we're
right.
feeding that every week, three to
So
four times, because we do big family dinners.
so am I right? I think I wrote it down. It was 11 people.
Yeah,
Is that
11 people and a bunch of dogs
I think
and
you
some fish.
and 13 reef fish you said?
Yeah.
So we have 11 people, 3 dogs, and 13 reef fish. But what is a reef fish actually?
So yeah, I have a lot of random cockababy like hobbies, and so one of those hobbies is I keep saltwater fish. So like I
Oh,
grow coral. That's actually so when I talk about like business cards, I'm not actually talking about the leather and stuff, the wallets. I'm talking about the fish. So I grow coral, I snip it, and then I go and package it and sell it.
oh,
Because coral
wow.
is like it's for those of you that don't know, coral is an animal. It is a multi-colony type of thing. Little small polyps. Each polyp is a different animal.
Hmm.
Um, but so I grow coral, and so what I'm spending money on is like packaging, shipping, stuff like that, or just buying travel setups to go to like little reef shows to sell stuff. But yeah, I have like 13 fish in there, some random critters like snails, shrimps. I have a pistol shrimp that keeps killing everything that
Oh
gets
my,
around it, but you know.
what the,
Um, but
wow.
yeah,
That's so crazy. So I'm only familiar with this because Graham Stephan, I guess on his vlog channel in the past, maybe years ago now, would talk about his reef aquarium and talking about back in the day where he would I guess you break off pieces of coral, you sell it to people, they
yeah.
put it in their tank and then it can grow. Um, and I guess there's rare kinds and all these different things. So that is so interesting that you
I'm
do
like
that.
Joe Exotic, but for fish.
Right, right. We'll need a TV show. Well, at least that pistol shrimp. Hopefully that won't get you, but we'll see.
The thing is, he's about the size of my finger, so not super huge, but he's got one big claw, and he can clack it so hard that it shoots a stream of water at you, and that's how he
What?
kills stuff. And that's how he
What?
hunts.
The
Yeah.
water kills the thing?
Yeah, so what happens is the bubble
What?
comes out so quickly that it causes a cavitation, and so it hits you with extreme pressure and heat.
So like, what if you put your hand in there? What would that feel like?
So it doesn't like it stings, right? Like it definitely
Really?
stings, but like it's not enough to kill you, but it hurts.
It
Somebody
hurts.
mentioned a mantis shrimp. I had a mantis shrimp, but like I didn't know that it was in my tank. So sometimes with this hobby, you'll buy what's called live rock, and it's a rock. The rock is your filter, right? So the rock has bacteria in it, and it
Hmm.
takes all the waste that the fish put out, and it cleanses it from the water.
Huh.
sometimes you'll get rock that's from the ocean and like stuff is still in there and you don't know about it. So like there's two different types of pistol shrimp, a mantis shrimp. There's clubbers and there's skewers.
Hmm.
Some have like just a ball and they just punch you with it. Others have a little like spear and they stab you. I had a spearfish and like he got, I don't know if you can see that, but like just like a nice little gash right there.
Oh yeah.
I had my
Huh.
hand in the tank, didn't know it, and I go, "What the hell is this?" It feels like something just quite literally hit me with a hot poker.
Whoa. Like Eric mentioned, isn't it like 4,000 degrees at the point of contact? Is that
Yeah,
what? How is that? How? I've never heard of this.
not to be
4,000
doing
degrees.
plenty of meme potential from Tariq.
Oh, we're gonna see. Yeah, we're gonna see some shrimp attacking something in the
But
Discord.
no, like seriously, like it. I had to go and get a stitch on this because he cut my hand so deeply. Because like it wasn't just like a shallow cut. He cut in there and it actually like tore a tendon in this hand.
What?
So I ended up had them go in and they just put it's like a cadaver tendon. Is
Mm,
that what it's called? But they put a tendon in there so I can move my finger again and
what?
stitched it back up. So yeah,
That's crazy. That's insane. I didn't know there were killer shrimp out here that were able
pistol
to.
shrimps not killers, annoying not killers. Mantis shrimp killers
Oh,
will hurt you
oh.
definitely.
Okay, so the mantis shrimp. Wow, I'm gonna have to look this up afterwards. The mantis shrimp. I want to see. There's probably somebody on YouTube who puts them in a tank with something.
No, genuinely, there are like tons of videos about mantis shrimp just punching open crab shells or like clams. Like it's wicked. They will hurt you, 100%.
I just wrote it down. I'm gonna have some fun afterwards watching that. So that's interesting. So then actually I will segment that. I will keep that for what I'm going to say after this, which this will tie in perfectly. Ogun says, which grocery store do you use most? So you said 11 people that you're feeding, 3 dogs, all these things. So you're using your Amex Gold for all this?
Yes. So for grocery stores, I will say the vast majority of our food comes from Aldi, and then we do odds and ends at Meyer, which actually isn't a grocery store, but it codes as a grocery store.
Hmm.
So I will say, out of that big chunk of spend, some of that is also us buying like TVs or things like that, right?
Wow.
Um, there's a butcher right down the street from us that we really love, and there's a small store, two small stores that we shop at. Fresh Time, I think that's just a Midwest chain, but like it's like a Whole Foods but smaller.
Hmm.
And then there's a local place called Baszler's that we shop at. But yeah, so all of our food comes from those five things. So Meyer, Baszler's, Kroger, Aldi, and then the butcher at Fresh Time.
Hmm.
Um, but like for example, different places get different amount of spend. So like for example, the butcher, we don't spend we don't go there often, but when we spend there, it's a huge thing. So like we just
Hmm.
bought like a side of beef and we just packed our freezer full of it, right? And so that'll
Hmm.
probably last us like 2 or 3 months.
Hmm.
Um, and put in perspective for those of you that don't know, that is quite literally just half a cow that we just got. And like,
Oh, is it really? Oh, wow.
yeah, we're gonna go through about 400 pounds of meat in about 3 months.
That is insane. And then, because and also, well, what I thought was interesting was the number. I think you shared it. Do you know how much you spent on your Amex Gold, like in a given year for
Yeah,
food?
so my Amex Gold re-ups in August, so that's my year like
Hmm.
cycle. So I'm able to get so when people are like, "No, you spent way more than 25,000," it's because I like my year recalculates at the calendar side, right? So
Uh,
it comes pretty quickly. But last year on the Amex Gold, we spent 37,208. Actually, I have this written down. Why don't I just look at this?
that is so crazy. That
Thirty-seven
is
thousand $283.12.
so. Yeah, you are one of the few people that have been affected by, or actually, no, I guess it's just groceries, right? Because they added that cap to restaurants.
So I want to say too, this is actually a new thing for us as far as the grocery side. So a year ago now, I found out that I was a type 1 diabetic.
Hmm.
And how did I find that out? My wife kept saying, "Hey, you're sick. You need to go to the doctor." I'm fine. I don't
Hmm.
need to go to the doctor. "Hey, you're sick. You need to go to the doctor." One day I was like, "Man, I don't feel so good. Hey, let's run you a bath." Got in the bathtub, projectile. Huh, maybe I should go to the doctor. Turns out I had a blood sugar like 700.
Whoa.
right? I was in stroke range. Um,
Jeez.
but to put in perspective, I had just started the new job. I was like high stress because like just constantly traveling, things like that, like out of my norm. And put in perspective, I work out like a lot. Like we work out 5 or 6 days a week. Like I lift, we box,
Hmm.
but I wasn't losing weight. And like I had like my normal resting, and I say normal, but my previous prior pandemic, my normal resting weight was like 240, 250,
Hmm.
which is still a big guy. Like I'm 6'5", but like it's big, right? I had
6'5".
ballooned all the way up to like 396.
Ah.
And no matter how much we were working out, I just couldn't lose weight. And I was thinking like, oh, it's just my diet, just my diet. Because we were spending so like we weren't cooking. We were just straight up order
Hmm.
out, order out, order out. I don't feel
Yeah.
like cooking. I don't do like this. And then when that happened, went to the hospital. Doctor said, "Hey, if you don't change this, you're not going to be here for next year." And I said, "I'm not going to allow that to happen. I
Yeah.
love my kids."
Yeah.
And so we have lost like I've lost like 100 pounds in the last year, and
Nice.
got my health in order. And so like big part of that is just me and my and like I want to say like my wife is awesome. Like she is like the the best person. She's first of all, she's my best friend. I'm her best friend. And so it's awesome that I get to hang out with my best friend every day. But like my wife, like quite literally said, I am not going to allow you to do this to yourself. We are going to get you healthy.
Hmm.
Um, we are very, we like to talk. Can I curse on the stream? I just thought
Yeah,
about that. I didn't want to do that.
whatever.
We like to talk shit in our house. Like we are
Yep.
big shit talkers.
Yeah.
And so like she's like, I'm not gonna allow you to be a single allow me to be a single mom. I'm not
Right.
gonna do that. I'm not gonna train somebody on how I like things anymore. We're just not gonna do that. So you have to live. Also,
Hmm.
who's gonna take care of me when I'm old? You have to make money. And I was like, my wife works, she's got a very nice career. But it's the joke of if my
Yeah.
wife could, she would 100% be a ornamental hermit. She's like, oh, we have money. I don't need to work. I'm a kept woman.
That's right.
She is the biggest feminist in the world until it comes time to take out the trash or do any type of heavy lifting, mow the lawn, any of that.
Oh Lord.
But she said, "Hey, we are going to 100% get you healthy," and we meant that. And so, like, we changed our complete diets, like
Hmm.
100%, like no more processed food. Found out I had a soy allergen, and so like
Hmm.
something. If you, I
Yeah.
wish I was coming to NOLA because you all would hear. I can make almost all of my joints and my chest crack because I
Huh.
had so much fluid on my joints. But we don't eat soy anymore. We don't do
Yeah.
any type of processed food anymore. And like between that, between the medicine, between like all of that, we have like got my body back in order. Like I'm still much bigger than I was, but like I'm
Hmm.
back down to like 300 pounds, right? Like,
Yeah.
and like when you see me now, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I was buying bigger shirts. Didn't realize that like
Hmm.
what's so funny. I bought this and like this hoodie is huge on me now. Like
Really?
it is massive on me. Like
Wow.
this hoodie goes all the way down to like past my like to my thighs.
Oh wow. Huh.
Yeah, like it's crazy. And so like we just the reason that we spend so much on food, it's not because we're trying to be frivolous or like not being conscious or aware of what we're buying. It's we're making very particular and conscious decisions about buying healthy food because like there's two things that you can never get back. You can never get back your time and you can never get back the health that you had before, right? Like once you're sick, like you were trying to work back to where you were previously. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life trying to like get back to a point where I was happy with myself or a
Hmm.
point where I can look back or be sick and say like, "Oh, well, sorry kids, dad can't be out there. Dad can't go and do things with you because he's sick," or like that, right? And like this is not a shot at anybody that is a different point in their health journey. Like I'm here to be everyone's biggest cheerleader. But and like I want to say too, sometimes we don't have the funds to change our habits, and so I want to be aware of that too.
Hmm.
But I do want to say like we are fortunate enough that like we can change our habits, that we can make food, health food, a part of our family's lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Because like my in-laws are older. My mom is in her 70s. My dad, even though him and my mom aren't together anymore, he's in his 70s, right? Like he's gone through his cancer battle. We
Yeah.
are taking food as a point of
Hmm.
like and put in perspective, something that if you don't know this, Polish people and black people, our food is delicious. And it is the most unhealthy, grease covered stuff that you will ever get. Soul food is amazing. I
Soul food, I was
love it.
about to say. Yeah.
Polish food, if you've never been to Chicago or like been around a big Polish population, it is fantastic. It is amazing. It is all food that will make you fat and lazy and like not great. Now that's not, now be very clear. That's not us saying that like I'll never go back and like eat some like random fried chicken and like mac cheese or yams and things like that. Or like we're not going back and like there's one thing I love about Polish food. They do sausages. I'm not going back and like not getting uncured sausages or like the fried cabbage and pierogies. Like we're still gonna do that. Like I'm not gonna completely take happiness or culture away from our household.
Hmm.
But like I want to be healthy enough so when I do eat like that, it's a treat.
That's amazing, man. That's an amazing story, and it's funny the things that get us to change our lifestyles. You know, whether well, you kind of had a little bit of both. You
I
had the doctor scare, and then you had the wife. Sometimes it's just the wife, sometimes it's just the doctor. So it's interesting that the things that trigger us to make the biggest change. It's usually after the biggest scare. You know, um, so that's interesting, and I'm glad you're down 100 pounds, man. That's amazing. You and John are actually. John mentioned we lost 220 combined together, brother. He says so
hell yeah.
that's the way to do it. Absolutely. I'm sorry, I laughed in the middle of your really nice speech because Phil most said, "My wife won't let me die either." I could just see Phil most saying, "Just let me die. Come on." So that's amazing and interesting. So something that I noticed in the last few months, switching to going to the butcher and stuff, is that we've been able to go to the butcher, eat that stuff, and that has kept us more satiated than anything else we've ever had prior, leading
Mhm.
us more spaces between meals and then longer time to be able to fast. As opposed, and also it's way less carb, I would say, which in your situation also would help a little bit with the less carbs. I think there's a way it connects in type 1 diabetes. But have you found that as well with like the butcher, like you got the 4 months worth of meat and stuff? Has that helped with curbing appetite and all that?
Absolutely. So, and I'll say the way that we cook is like different. So we do a big, so I want to say you still need carbs to like help
Yeah.
balance out your diet and stuff. Like, but our carbs look different now because all of our carbs either are coming from like rice or
Yeah.
vegetables, things like that. Um, but 100% to your point, like going to the butcher, and I'll say this, getting meat fresh because so I live in Indiana. We can go straight to the processing plant and we could, if we wanted to, just buy like a full cow and have somebody
Wow.
cut it up for us. I am
Jeez.
not that metal and I am not that country. I am not, I can't do that. But going to our butcher, I know that stuff is fresh. I know like, hey, we
Yeah.
get our shipment once a week on Thursdays. You're here Thursday morning or Friday. Everything is brand new, fresh from the processing. And like, there's a 24-hour turnaround between processing to the butcher. Um, It's fantastic, and something that has really helped us too is that we've learned how to cook differently, right? So, like, not just looking at certain cuts of meat. So, for example, steaks are really great. It is hard to make steaks for 11 people, right?
Yeah.
But you can make like oxtail soup or beef neck bones or like
Hmm.
really random cuts and tendons of stuff, and it's part of stews or it's part of soups or it's part of like a different stir fry where you mix things in and like it gives it a totally different flavor.
Hmm. Which
Um,
actually, yeah.
And to your point, yeah, 100%. I will say too, I feel less hungry now eating whole meals or just grabbing like a couple of things of broccoli and some carrots and going to town with some like hummus or something, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh, let's go make some Takis or let's go make a thing of Tostino pizza rolls, right? Like,
Right.
I'm gonna be hungry in 2 hours, and
Hmm.
then I'm also not drinking enough water with it. So, like, I will say,
Yeah.
like, that's a big part of eat when I say eating holistically, I'm not just talking about, oh, I went to Whole Foods and I got this wonderful kombucha stuff, which I'm not a huge kombucha fan, but
Yeah.
to each their own. But like eating whole food, eating like, oh, I went to the butcher and I got like a whole chicken and we like broke the chicken down and we made chicken soup or we made something with it or we made like chicken thighs and we paired the chicken thighs with like rice and like a vegetable and something else. Like it helps you to stretch that food out and also to
Hmm.
feed people. So like you're not hungry. And I
Yeah.
also want to say, eating clean doesn't have to be disgusting. Still season your food. Like season your food, people. You
Yeah.
need more than just salt and pepper. Now, sometimes salt and pepper just works, but season your food.
Yeah, and it's so true. Actually, Xavier mentions butcher shop meat from the farmers direct compared to what you can get in the grocery stores is crazy taste wise and appearance wise. Absolutely,
It is 100%. I thought
absolutely.
chicken was supposed to be like, I thought chicken skin was supposed to be white. No, chicken skin is like actually very pink. Like when you
Hmm.
get very fresh chicken skin and like stuff like that, or like beef, like different things, like it's a totally different color. And I was like, oh,
Hmm.
I'm more concerned about what I've been eating previously. But yeah,
Absolutely. And it's like, yeah, it's just a total amount. And this has like been our thing the last couple of months. So it's all I kind of think and talk about right now. But one thing I noticed too was I used to have, I used to get like a certain amount of calories in every day. And it's like, it was probably around 23, 2,500 around there for a good amount of time. And, it was harder to hit. And I used to, at that time, have like four turkey burgers all in one sitting and then like thing of rice or whatever.
mm,
And I really was like surprised to find that I could just have one, and those are like I guess 4 ounces each, so 16 ounces total. But I've realized I shifted to just one 8 ounce butcher burger, and that has had me more satiated than the four turkey burgers, which is insane. Same, throw the bacon on it, throw sometimes an egg on it, and everything like that, and it's just crazy because you just have that one. There's way less, I would say, stress on your digestive system as well. So your sleep's going to be a little bit better, digestion's going to be a little bit better, less total amount of volume in food. Your stomach's going to shrink a little bit, so your appetite's less. So it's like so many different things, and then of course you're not dealing with all the nonsense of the grocery store. Processing things.
no,
You don't know where it's coming
yeah,
from. How old is it? How artificially inflated it is? All those different things. You gotta talk to your butcher as well. See what the kind of guy is like. But
fair
I
point.
think that helps. Our guy's great. So that's also something I found. So I think that's great.
Super random, but you
Mhm.
said your intake was 2,300. I was like, wow, that's so low. My maintain is 3,500. If I didn't want to lose a single pound, like I need to eat 3,500 a day.
Yeah,
And I was just
yeah.
like, oh wow, I wish I could get down to 2,300. If I was eating only 2,300, I was like, God, I am starving.
It's
Also, I'll say this: I love a turkey burger. Like
yeah,
you have
man.
no idea how much I love it when you mention turkey burgers. But turkeys have so little fat on it. That's also why you're going through like 12 burgers
Yeah,
or four burgers at a setting because like you said, you gotta throw some bacon or an egg or some avocado on there or something. Just give it a
yeah,
little extra fat because like if you're not on a cut, the turkey is like I will say turkey is probably the best thing that you can possibly eat if you're gonna go on a cut, turkey and fish. But like if you're just trying to like so for me, I'm not on a I mean technically this is one big cut, but like
yeah.
I also need to maintain some stuff. Like
Hmm.
we eat so little turkey purely because of that.
Hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, no, definitely. Um, and I think it also helps that I'm not 6'5" like you, that the calories can be so low, only 5'9". So, I could eat a lot less to maintain this feeble, meek form
To
that
be
I
fair,
exist
I'm
in.
also moving a lot more weight around than you are. So like you gotta feed mass to move mass.
That's right. Eat this. I love it. I love it. I love it. How's also the gym? I also like to talk about that from time to time. How's strength and all that? How's all that
So I didn't realize how weak I had gotten uh, from
from the
last
cut?
year,
Mm,
um, and also like just in general. So like I played football pretty much my whole life, right? Like
yeah.
the gym was always a part of that. My wife is a marathon runner, and she does like because she's on a training block right now for a race that she has in November.
Hmm.
I've tried to run. Even in football, I hated running. I hate running. I ran a mile and like I thought I was going to die. But
Yeah.
if you go and put me in some gloves and we go and box for an hour and a half, oh, that's great cardio. I can do that. I
Hmm.
think I just hate the monotony of running. As far as
Hmm.
strength goes, like I will say I have not gotten back to the ego lifting that I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because like at one point I could do for my deadlift, I was at 635. I could do 550 on squat and I could do 410 on bench, right? I'm
Damn.
nowhere near those numbers, right? Like, nor I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't need to be near those numbers either, right?
Yeah.
Like, also, I'm old. I say I'm old. I'm 30. I do not need to hit a heavy deadlift. I am not throwing my back out right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
I don't think I've deadlifted, like, seriously deadlifted, like, past 225 in a
Hmm.
5 or 6 years. As
Yeah.
far as bench press, I'll still go up because I want to be able to bench press my body weight. And same thing with squat. And I will say I squat heavy. So
Hmm.
like squat, I do like ascending and descending pyramids. So like I'll build up to about 450 and I'll work
Nice.
my way back down to 225 for
Hmm.
squats. For bench, I have not tried to bench past 315 right now,
Hmm.
nor do I think it's like really necessary. Like I can do right now a set of 5 at 315. I could
Nice.
probably do more. I think if I try to, one, I don't lift with anybody, so like I
Hmm.
run the risk of dying. Um,
Right.
and two, like, do I really need to? Right? Like,
Yeah.
so I went to a small school in Indiana called DePaul.
Hmm.
We're the Tigers. Yay. It's like DePaul, but with a W. Like we're DePaul, but W. We're older than DePaul. And we have a rival school called Wabash. It's an all boys school. Wabash stinks. It's terrible. Um, but like there's some young kids that go to the YMCA that I go to, and they'll see me lift in like my DePaul shirt, and they're like, "Oh, when do you graduate? We'll see you at Mona." And I'm like, "Sir, I'm 30. I graduated 10 years ago. Please leave me alone." Um, and like it's just so funny that I'm like, "Oh, I don't need this, right?" I like that's the other thing. I'm a huge human, right? Like I don't need to get any bulkier than I already am. Like
Hmm.
don't get me wrong, I still want to be like in shape. I want to like get back into like I want to have as little body fat on me as possible. Like the goal for me is like 11%, right? Like I think that's
Hmm.
11, somewhere between 11 and 15. That's where I want to be healthy. I want to be
Yeah.
like super strong and stuff. I want to be able to still do stuff with my kid, like when he's in his 20s. But like as far as me still doing shot put or football or trying to be like the macho man Randy Savage, I'm gonna leave that to Uncle Luke. I don't need to do all that.
Leave it so cool. So actually, on that topic, you said you're a large human walking around, got a feed mass to move mass. What's the deal with flying? How's is
It's
that?
terrible.
I could imagine, man.
Terrible. So like put in perspective for all the guys in here, you'll get this. At my absolute biggest, I was a 64 chest, right? Like that is a huge human.
Wow.
Right now, I'm at a 52. So like
Hmm.
I've gone down like a foot in size. The problem is that's just my chest. My shoulders are still huge. I'm a very
Hmm.
broad person. You may not be able to tell from like the
Well, you don't fit on
ear.
screen, so.
But like I'm broad, and so like
Yeah.
I'm built like a slice of pizza. Well, that's what my wife says. She's like,
Oh,
"Yeah,
I
you're
see.
like an upside down triangle." Like you're like, there you go.
Oh, nice. Hmm.
Because even my biggest, my waist was only a 42, so I had these big
Really?
shoulders, little legs,
Man, you
and
you should have been on the Mr. Olympia stage, man, with those proportions. Damn.
because like right now I'm at like a 38 in my waist, right?
Really?
Yeah.
38 waist? I think I'm like 32. That's crazy. And I'm
Again,
170. Wow.
again, slice of pizza.
Beast.
But so like it it's not the leg room so much that gets me. Like, do my knees bang up against things in economy? Yeah, but for 2 hours I can deal with that.
Hmm.
It's the shoulder and me having to stick my
Hmm.
hand through the seat belt and have it in my crotch so I'm not hitting. So when this cart comes through the aisle, it's not hitting my shoulder, or I'm sitting like this, so like I'm not on somebody else. Like that's the other thing. I'm a very big person. I'm a very self-conscious person and thinking
Hmm.
about like, oh, I don't want to bother you, so I'm just gonna crunch up as small as I can, right?
Yeah.
If there is there could be somebody that is 90 pounds and 4'10" sitting in the middle seat, I'm gonna crunch up as much as I can because I don't want to bother you. I'm a very like self-aware person where I'm like, oh, sorry, don't want to be a jerk. Now, if you're mean to me, oh well, you can have every piece of this.
Right.
Um, but
That's
yeah, like I try my best to like be aware of my size because I know that most things aren't built for me, right? Like even most roller coasters, my knees bang up against roller coasters. But for
hmm.
flights, that's why flying AA has been so great because
Hmm.
I want to say I realize it, I know it. American Airlines is not great. Service isn't great. On time isn't great. I get it, guys. I know. But they have the least amount of connections and the most amount of flights to Philadelphia. I can't
Hmm.
argue that. Would I prefer to fly Delta? Yes. Do I want to connect in Detroit every time? No.
Hmm.
Same thing with United. Do I want to fly there? Yes. Do I want to connect in Chicago to come back to Indianapolis? No. Do I want to go to DC to connect to Philly? Also no. So like I'm at the point now where I fly enough where I want it to just be a straight up connection. That's it.
I see.
Um, and then I also I'm of the mindset, yeah, I get the extra leg room, but it's really about the width of the seat. Like if I can just get some extra shoulder support, that's the biggest deal for me.
Hmm.
Um, because I don't even really care about getting an upgrade to first class. Like it's nice, but like as long as I can like stretch out a little bit, like put in perspective, I would give up a seat and extra leg room to go into like an economy seat if it meant that there's nobody next to me that I could spread out.
Makes sense. Huh. Hmm. So, so is it just the fact that American Airlines has, in general, seats that are give you a little bit more space? Is that kind of the idea with them, or is it just the simplicity of the direct flight?
So I'll say this, it's a bit of both. For
Hmm.
me, the most important thing is just a direct flight. I
Yeah.
have flown, actually, let me look at Flightly.
It's,
Um,
Filmo says them econ seats are the devil.
they are the devil, but I'll take the devil you know. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's great. Kit Kat's got some great phrases. I love it.
I've got 54 flights this year so far.
54.
Yeah, right? Like,
Wow. Right
now,
on par with your
granted,
Marriott stays. Huh.
right? But now, granted, actually, I don't think I've updated that since last week. But
Hmm.
with those 54 flights, I'm like, at a certain point, I'm either coming home super late or I'm flying out super early. I do not care how long it takes me to get there as long as I do not have to get off that goddamn plane. Like, if you
Hmm.
can get me there directly, I do not care about anything else. And I think anybody else that flies like a whole lot will tell you anything that I can do to cut my time in air or actually in the airport down, I'm down to
Hmm.
do that. Um,
Interesting. Hmm.
and it also doesn't help that Terre Haute is an hour from Indy, right? So like I have an hour drive once I get home.
Oh, I see. Huh. That is interesting. So so you don't really because I've heard of some people who say that they'll I think it was RJ in the Discord. I think she said she only flies first class just because it's just easier. Is that anything you would do in your future? I mean, if obviously if points allowed or cash allowed would.
So
Yeah.
I'll say for personal flights, when it's just my wife and I, absolutely we're flying first class, right? Like if it's domestic or if we can afford it and we can swing it, absolutely, 100%.
Mm,
Um, but for work, they are not going to reimburse
mm,
that.
yeah.
So they say, hey, you can only book an economy seat and it cannot add a seat add-on or anything like that.
Oh
Like
wow.
whatever you book, it is economy.
Mm,
So that's why I love status because then it allows me to book the economy plus, the extra legroom seats for free, and they don't need to worry about that.
oh, I see. I see.
Like if
That
they would
is. Huh.
like what's so crazy is even my company, we won't even let the CEO fly first class. They're like, no,
Oh really?
and that's from his mouth. He's like, I'm no different than you. Why would I book first class? If I wanted that, I'd book my own flight.
That's
So
legit.
like
Yeah.
when the CEO says that, you kind of got to go, well, yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So you also said, anybody who flies a lot like you do, you want to cut your amount of time in the air and or in airports. So are you someone who's not necessarily a fan of airport lounges?
Oh no, I love them. I
Yeah.
love them dearly. So like put in perspective, the Philly lounge or the Philly Amex lounge, they know me on a first name basis at this point because I'm there
Okay.
so often, and I love that. I love Jennifer so much. She just bought an AP roll. First of all, I don't know what they get paid, but I know she makes good money because she has an
Hmm.
AP Rolex, and I was like, oh my god,
Wow.
like and like
Huh.
she's got like a ridiculous watch. If you were ever in the Amex lounge in Philadelphia, she normally sits at the far end of the table. She always has a different watch on. She either has a day date Rolex, she has a Daytona, she has an
Wow.
AP, she has a nice, really, really nice Omega. Like she has like a killer watch collection. Like I don't know what
Wow.
Amex is paying her, but somehow I also think it's not enough considering how certain people act to get into the lounges, or when someone tells you
Hmm.
it's going to be an hour wait and they go, well, what is the point of having a 600? Like, I am the first person. My wife hates this. I'm a confrontational person by nature,
Really?
but
That's.
I try
Hmm.
not to be a terrible person. But if you are being a terrible person, I'm going to speak into the air. And if you are offended by it,
Hmm.
them's the breaks, right? Like
I see.
often, and I don't know if anybody else has this, You're right, Oakley. Indy only has a Delta Lounge, and that's why I was so pissed that Chase took out the priority pass restaurants because I was so mad about like there's only a priority pass restaurant and a Delta Lounge in Indy, and if you
Hmm.
don't have priority pass restaurants, you're just SOL. But
Oh.
like this is one of those things that gets me so mad, and it's I want to say it's usually not credit card people. It's people that got a card because they think it gives them status, but they'll be like, I'm the type of person you do not talk mean to the people that are helping you. Do not talk crazy to the lounge people. Don't talk
Hmm.
crazy to your waiter. Even if they're like being rude to you, say like, "Hey, I don't think we need to have this conversation." Like John, she might be single. I don't see a ring on that finger. But like
There we go.
you do not need to be rude to people, especially when they're like customer service folks. Like that is just one of the biggest pet peeves of mine.
Yeah.
And I'm a confrontational person, but that has died down severely as I've gotten older. My wife still hates it, but I'm the person that'll go, "Wow, it's almost like you had a 650 credit score and $700 and you're not special."
Hmm.
And I will just say that out and loud, and then somebody will turn around super fast and they'll get like eye to my chest and they'll
Yeah.
go,
Right.
"You're right. I thought I was special. I'm gonna go ahead and
you're,
take this one out."
you're right. That's so great. It's so funny because I know how nasty some people can be and like stupidly courageous for no reason. Like I feel like someone would still turn around and be like, you know, what? Like this, like the most ridiculous thing. That was something I noticed from my childhood shifting. Like we used to be always afraid of like eighth graders, and then all of a sudden, like today, nobody's afraid of anybody. I'm like, but I get it.
Hey, I will tell you, I box and I wrestled all throughout high school. First of all, also, I just saw Uncle Luke's in here. Shout out to Uncle Luke. You're
Luke,
gonna be a great coach. You're gonna be awesome. I hope that
that's
first
right.
game goes really well. But yeah, I've been a wrestler all the way up till college, boxing, and then also living on the south side of Chicago. You know, just kind of them was the breaks. Um, I don't want to go to jail. Do
Right.
not want to go to federal prison for fighting in an airport. But I will tell you, the first time someone punches me in the face in an airport, it's going to be a bad day for everybody involved.
Oh my god. I can't wait to see that Points Guy article. You know why the $700 Amex Platinum card doesn't make you special, and then it's a whole story about Kit Kat bodying somebody at the Centurion Lounge.
Everybody, please give a super chat for my bail.
Uh, that's right. Yeah, we'll have to do a live stream from jail. We'll do the window.
Like, so Kit, was it worth it? No, it
Yeah.
was not worth it. I am not meant for prison. Please, someone get me out. I am
It,
soft.
it reminds me of the old, I think it was Saturday Night Live. There was a skit with Chris Farley about the Colombian coffee crystals. He was
Oh my
really,
God,
did
yes.
you see that? So he was really
Yes.
pissed. He's like, these are Colombian coffee crystals. And he was like, you lied to me. And he starts flipping out. And then I guess he's in like a waiting room and his head, he has bandages up here and the hair is coming out. Like he just got beat up like a million times. And you're like, how do you feel about all that? He's just angry, you know? So that'll be you. You'll be just pissed off. That's so crazy. So okay, so you love your lounges. Sometimes you have to tell people that to calm down. But how what other lounges have you been to? So you did Centurion. That's you said that's Philly. That's that one.
Yeah. So I will say, as much as I love my gold card, I think if I had to give up all my cards from Amex, the platinum's the one that would stay, genuinely.
Really?
Um, One, I have like MR points are my number one currency, right? Like
Hmm.
I wouldn't say I'm an Amex fanboy. I'm an Amex prisoner because their products fit my lifestyle so well. But between the Amex offers and like the lounge access, again, my wife could not care less about being in the lounge. She's like, "Oh, this is nice. Free drink, free food. It's a good time." I, because I fly so much, want to have a little bit of respite, right? And like, I'm going to throw these bad boys on and I'm going to click on so I can't hear anything outside of that. And we're
Hmm.
going to have a good time. Um, Also, like, again, I want to be like very fair in saying that like my work travel gets reimbursed, but the Amex Platinum is actually an earner for me, like
Hmm.
a really good earning card for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to executive platinum pro status on American and gold status on United without spending money. So
Hmm.
like could that change? Absolutely. But also most of the credits also fit my current lifestyle even before having the card because like I want to say I only got my platinum in 2022, changed that right before they changed the policy last year, got another sign up bonus for the Charles Schwab and
Yeah.
now I have the Schwab Platinum, and I just closed my Vanilla Platinum.
Nice.
Um, but like the Platinum is genuinely one of those cards that, like, yeah, it's a poor earner. I get it, 100% terrible earning card for anything that's not flights. But if I had to say like, oh, I'm only going to get 1x on any card that I have, it's probably just going to be the Platinum, right? Like,
Hmm.
just be realistic with you. But no,
Wow.
I've gone to most of the. I've been to the New York lounges. I actually went to the New York Centurion Club, like downtown. That was
Oh,
super nice.
really? Hmm.
I did the whole little call, set up that, took my wife. We had a good time. Um, I probably will do that because I have to go to a baby shower in New York. I'm going to be a godfather. Great.
Nice.
So I'm going to do that in October again. Um, we've gone to the LA lounge for Sky Clubs. Like, we've been to most of the Centurion clubs. We've also been to a good number of Sky Clubs because I'll say
Hmm.
this on my personal end, Delta is what we fly mostly. I just don't spend enough with Delta to actually hit status,
Hmm.
oddly enough, for personal travel. But we've been to all three of the Detroit clubs in there. We've been to
Hmm.
the two ones in Minneapolis, LAX. I've been to the new one in Chicago, which is actually really, really nice.
Hmm.
I have not been to I've only been to one in Atlanta. But like, we've hit a lot of Sky Clubs. But if I'm going to say, like, if we're looking at like time spent, it's actually AA lounges. So for the
Hmm.
Centurion Club, Centurion lounges in Philly specifically, if they tell me, hey, it's going to be 3 hours, all right, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I just bought an Admirals Club membership, so I'll spend. That's my backup.
Hmm.
For as far as space, way bigger than the Centurion Lounge. Like, it's probably five or six
Really?
times bigger because the Centurion Lounge in Philly is super tiny. I'd say it's only probably like 2,500, maybe 3,000 square feet. Like, it's probably a little smaller than the one that's in Phoenix.
Hmm.
Like, they could stand to update it or do a bigger purchase. It's also right next to the British Airways Lounge, which I have not been in, but it looks so fancy, like
Really?
so fancy.
Huh.
Um, but yeah, the Admirals Club in Philly, super nice. It's in the BC Connection terminal.
Hmm.
It's huge. Food is terrible. You got to pay for drinks.
Oh no.
But there is always a place to sit. Also, it's just really nice.
As wait, we got Joe Burrow coming in hot. Hola, Anthony Kidd. What's going on?
What's up, Joe?
And JP says no fights in the airport. Airplane. I always watch those videos and think how crazy it is. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I don't want to be the crazy person that gets duct taped to the seat, right? Like, I'm hoping that this is like a good Batman vigilante episode and not me being the one duct taped. But eh.
Ridiculous. So you said that Admirals Club membership. So you bought that.
Yeah.
What does that give you? I'm very unfamiliar with that.
So I did a little sneaky back doorway. If you buy a singular Admirals Club membership through Alaska Airlines, it is actually cheaper, right? So I bought mine before I had high status. Right now, as an executive Platinum Pro or EXP, whatever you want to call it, you would pay the same amount for an Admirals Club as you membership through AA as you would through Alaska,
Hmm.
right? So now it doesn't matter. But beforehand, if I can save $100, $150, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But you get all the AA lounges domestically. You
Hmm.
get Alaska lounges, which is really nice. If you're
Hmm.
flying British Airways, you'll also get British Airways lounges. Um,
Oh.
Now, the problem there, you must be on a BA branded flight, not just booking Avios
Oh.
through BA. So that
Makes
kind of
sense.
sucks.
Hmm.
Um, and you get some other smaller partner lounges when you're flying internationally, which is really nice too.
Hmm.
Now, granted, most of those lounges you'll get into if you're in a business class or first class seat, or if you have priority pass. So,
Hmm.
less helpful. But domestically, it's nice, especially if you're. And here's the other good thing: if you're on an AA flight, you're probably either near AA. Actually, never mind. Take that back. You must be on an AA flight. We're either
Hmm.
Alaskan, AA, or affiliated partner to get in. But it's really nice. Like, food is not nearly as good as most Centurion or Sapphire lounges, but if you're just looking for a nice place to sit, it's helpful. I will say what's most helpful for me is actually booking. Is when you need to rebook, right? Like, if there is a storm or if your flight gets canceled, the front desk staff up there is truly sensational, and they will help you get everything taken care of. And they are genuinely better than calling into customer service.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Joe for the 5 spot.
Yes. Thank you so much, Joe. Hola, Anthony and Kid. The Kid Cat is here. Thank you for that. Mi gente. Joe Ferretto. Appreciate you, man.
Also, I'm gonna say this too. I would not buy it again. Just being
Really?
realistic. Yeah. I think so. I have lounge access from the Platinum and from the CSR.
Mm-hmm.
Just based on where we fly, there's not really too many places where we aren't going to get a lounge if there is a lounge. Just because we have it from Delta, the Escape lounges, as well as like Centurion lounges. Between those plus the Sapphire lounges as they expand out, you're covered, right?
Hmm.
Again, also from a personal standpoint, I just don't fly American that much. I like American is purely for work travel. Like it's really nice to have. Those American miles are nice to have for international redemptions. But from a personal standpoint, it's Delta. Now, I just oddly enough, I've never had a Delta credit card. And also, I think somebody asked this beforehand. I do not. I have one AA card, and it's the Aviator Red, and I have not used that card since I got the sub. I bought a pack of gum back in February, I think, and I have not touched it since.
Wow. That's surprising because you said all of your personal flights are on Delta. I'm surprised you haven't opted into maybe, because you have a good amount of annual fees that you have right now. Would you ever consider, trying to buy, Delta Silver status with the, getting the Delta Platinum or 2 of them, Delta Business?
So the problem there is I'm already at I'm not Sledge. Amex, despite how much money we put through the gold card, does not like me. So like they said, 5 cards is enough for you, big guy. I would have to either give up my Brilliant, the Aspire, the Surpass, or my BBP, or the what's the other card I have? The Bonvoy Business, right? So like I would have to give up one of those 5 for Bonvoy. I actually, despite my gripes with them, I would like to hit at least Platinum Pro, Lifetime Platinum. So like I still need 360 or 70 more nights, right? So I can't give those up right now. The Aspire and the Surpass, well, the Surpass is my dedicated gas card, and it's also my catch-all for the first 15,000. Surprisingly, I think I might downgrade my Aspire this year to an honors card, but in hopes of getting upgrade offers. So yeah. But also I just love my Aspire. It's just like, it's such a great card.
Really?
So like, I don't know what I would give up because I'm definitely not giving up my BBP because like after I hit my 15K on the Surpass, that's my catch-all card.
Joe Barreto says, "You okay? Can you add me as a dependent?"
Honestly, if anything to help get these taxes down, bro, I paid $79,000 in taxes last year, and then they still said I owed more in taxes, and I was like, "You can kiss the crackiest part of my butt."
Are you? How are you paying those taxes? Are you doing it online, paying with a credit card? Are you able to do that for that amount?
Yeah. So I use it for my sub. So they said that even despite what we already had from deductions and stuff, like we still owed a little bit. So we just used the sub to cover it. It wasn't even a lot. It was like $400, right? But I'm still like, really? Are you really still seriously gonna ask me for $400? Like you just took darn near 80 grand from me.
That's crazy. That is so insane. Joe Proto puts the eye emoji. I love it. I guess QC man, if Centurion food is 9 out of 10, Chase is 8 out of 10, what would you rate Admirals Lounge food? Oh no.
Like a 4.
A 4.
Easy. Like a soft 4, hard 3.
Wow. I gotta go to one of these.
I'll say this. It's free drinks if you're only drinking domestic beer or certain wines or Prosecco's, sparkling wines. The food for breakfast is usually those dehydrated eggs, which if you're into dehydrated eggs, great. And it's like the wiggly. I'm a crispy bacon guy. They have wiggly bacon. Doesn't do it for me.
Not good.
Or the super processed sausage patty links, and it's like, I'm good. And like, it's just not great for lunch. The best thing that I've had at an AA lounge was a sweet potato soup.
Oh wow,
That is the best thing. And even that was bland, so I could doctor it up with a little hot sauce, salt, and pepper.
Okay, not bad. Huh. I also wanted to. So that's it. So we went through a lot of hotels, some statuses, some cards, some earnings, some lounges and stuff. I had a couple of things I wanted to ask you. One thing I wanted to showcase, which a lot of people aren't familiar, is that you yourself, you actually hand make your own wallets, right?
Yeah, I do.
We
I have
gotta
a
see
few here.
that. I would love to see. I would love to see.
So this is actually my daily. So fun fact: this is another one of my random side hobbies. This is one that I've been thinking about getting into the business of, but like I'm so afraid of not being a perfectionist at it that like
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, I don't want people to spend money and not. I agree, JP. They do have the worst food, but like I don't want people to think that like we're doing something bad or like that they feel like they've gotten ripped off from a
Hmm.
product. Like anything that I give somebody, if I've given somebody a wallet or something that's been free, so I just like it's a me thing. I probably could sell it, but yeah, this is my normal daily carry. So it's a purple with gold stitching,
Whoa.
and then like a blue interior, nice little cash pocket, and then
Ah.
like pockets there.
Wow.
Um, so like this is probably the most expensive wallet that I've made. So I use shell cordovan. That's horse butt leather. Like it's quite literally the butt of a horse.
Wow.
Um, but then that's my travel. So this is my actually I said this is my everyday wallet. This is my travel wallet. So this is what I put in for like when I'm going someplace.
Hmm.
Um, Similar. I like really bright colors. So like I like funky stuff, just cool stuff like that.
Nice.
Um,
Richie loves
this
that
is
color.
actually so this is actually what I normally carry around. These are just little pouches. Now, granted, I know this isn't for everybody because there's no like real ability to. If you want to steal my priority pass card, go for it. I don't care.
Have fun.
But like this is what like I normally take. This is just plain English Dublin leather, but this is
Hmm.
my fall wallet because it's copper rivets, black, just simple. And then these are the first two that I made. These are little funky guys, like ultra violet and like blue. You can see where my son is chewed on some of these because anything in the house that is at eye level is getting chewed on. Um, and then I made this one too. This is my least favorite wallet. Also, shout out to Matt Clausen. I also went and tried to get a new Quicksilver design, and they sent me the same Quicksilver. So like,
Same. What the hell?
come on,
Come
Capital
on.
One. I like card holders. I normally carry more stuff with me than I need to because like I'm a dad now, and I used to think, why do you have so much stuff in your wallet? And I get it. Sometimes it's just there. This is my least favorite wallet. Um, I want to say I did not make this, but like I have like a wallet guru guy. His name is Morgan Leathers on Instagram. If anybody wants to go, but he
Hmm.
sends me stuff. I'll deconstruct it and try to put it back together to see if I can do it again. And then he'll send me like different plans and stuff. So this is a passport wallet that he just sent me that I'm going to try to make again. Like it's actually black leather even though it looks green. And then we got the little card holders on the inside there.
That's nice. That's very nice.
There.
Hmm.
And then this is the wallet that I got from Cal. Well, I didn't get this from Calby, but Calby convinced me. Fun fact: Calby is the one that got me into leather unknowingly.
What?
So this is a
Really?
Shinola wallet. With my little Darth Vader debit
Yeah.
card, and my nice little Philly bus pass. But yeah, this is Shinola leathers, and like this is what got me into wallets 3 years ago. So Calby, this is your fault that I now have a crippling expensive hobby of leather goods. Um, but yeah, Shinola, like they have really nice, it's soft, supple leather. I did not like this wallet because it's so small, but like you can't put any cash in here if you have 4 cards.
Hmm.
Also, you'll get this because you have metal cards. Metal cards are a pain in the butt to put in any type of leather because either they're going to scratch things up or they don't
Hmm.
bend.
Hmm.
Um,
True.
yeah, you know what? I'm not going to change anything about that. Calby got me into leather.
Yeah. Oh
Just let that
no.
ride.
Calby's the residential leather daddy now. That's great. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
do
I'm gonna
not
let him
change
know.
that at all.
I
That is
can't
the
wait.
soundbite from this.
Can't
Calby's
wait
a
to
leather
tell
daddy.
him.
But yeah, this is back when
Oh
he
my
was
god.
still. We only saw his cat or his hands, and
Oh,
I saw that he had a Shinola wallet, and I was like, "Wow, that looks so cool." And then I found it, and I was like, "Oh wow, I wonder could I make this?" I don't know what convinced me to do that, but yeah.
that is
So
so
this is all
crazy. Callaway man, you're the reason he's got he's got a expensive hobby. Actually, an interesting request. Joe Brito, he says, Can you sponsor me with a wallet? Barretto Brown. Oh, that would be interesting.
Honestly, you know what? Honestly, if you tell me what you want out of it, we could probably work something out.
Hmm, not bad. Listen, man. If I said it to you, I know you're perfectionist and everything, but if you had a website already set up, man, we could share that. It'd be great. I know you don't have much time on your hands too to
No,
freaking make 50 wallets, but
I thought about it. I genuinely did. It's just one of those things where like I still want to get better. Not
hmm.
Xavier going, "What's your safe word?" My sa-
Hold up. We need Josh Gable to come in and say pause. We need that.
Pause. What is my safe word? You know what? My safe word is freedom. Freedom flex.
Oh, so Tariq is involved in this whole
Freedom
ordeal as
flex.
well. And then
You got to
Tariq
really
walks
want to get
in.
out of the situation.
Freedom flex. Freedom flex. Oh God. Maybe you could start saying admirals or something. I don't know. Maybe.
Not blink.
Uh,
Kid.
Blink twice, kid. Joe says. Don't let Kelby convince you with leather chaps. Oh my God. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to share this with him. It's
Again, Calby would never know any of this, right? Especially if we weren't in the
no.
Discord together. Like he would never know. He's like, "Who is this large man telling me that I'm his leather daddy?"
Oh my God. No, he knows. He knows about you, but about the little daddy stuff, maybe he wanted to keep that on the down low.
Yeah,
But
we should
you
like
know,
just be very clear. Very happy with my wife. Not looking to change anything up.
hey man,
Calby
change
seems like a
looks.
fantastic person. Just not my type.
Every time I hang out with Calvi, I only end up hanging out with Calvi. So listen, he's a good guy. Uh, Chicago. What? Why am I? Oh, it's skipping. Chicago has an international Mr. Leather conference. I'm not sure what it's about, but maybe it's about your wallet or about wallets.
Actually, it is. So there's a company called Ashland Leathers, and like, so Chicago's oddly enough like one of the biggest leather producing capitals in the world for like
Hmm.
high quality leather. There's a place called Horween Leather Company,
Hmm.
and they produce some of the most high quality leather. But also, there's a leather company called Ashland Leathers. They do some really really cool stuff. It's just too expensive for my blood. Like I'm not paying $400 for a wallet. I'm just not going to
Hmm.
do that.
Makes
Now,
sense.
granted, I paid like $200 for this, but like also this is, and granted, these things will last you a lifetime. Like if your wallet does not last you 10, 15, 20 years,
Hmm.
something's wrong there.
Oh,
But like also, I'm not be giving you $400 for like a card holder. I'm,
I
I don't
see.
care what you put on that branding, whether it's Hermes, Louis Vuitton, Dior, not doing that.
Yeah, that's tough. I guess selling them would be tough because you would, I guess, almost always be losing unless you can somehow get prices or
So I'll
costs
say
down.
my thing is this, like the leather itself isn't super expensive. A lot of people are charging either for a brand or for labor.
Hmm.
My thing is if I can recoup the cost and make 20%, that's all I really care about.
Hmm.
Because like
Interesting.
realistically, this is the most expensive wallet that I would ever have, right? This is probably
Hmm.
like 2 feet worth of leather.
Uh,
That leather probably cost you $75. Realistically, sell it for a buck 20, buck 30, call it a day.
okay. Huh. That's not bad then. Hmm. And could you show me that other one again? A lot of people like that one. The not that one, but the magenta one. I think it was the first one you shared,
Oh,
or at
this one?
least in my eyes. Yeah, that's very nice. I think a lot of people like that. Especially like with the stitching around there, if that's what you call it. It looks very
Yeah.
cool. Um, yeah, I like that. Hmm.
So what's hard about that is just finding the leather colors and like enough like leather for it. So like it doesn't look like a lot, but like you have this panel here, you got the back panel, which these two things are stitched onto, and then you also have to know how to shave the leather down so it's not too thick. Because, so for example, hold on, let me make sure that you can't. Okay, cool. I had to make sure that there wasn't the card on there, but
Yeah.
like you can like see like especially for like metal cards sometimes it's a pain to get these cards in and out and like you can't get to the second card down there.
Hmm.
So like, you know, stuff like that. Like you got to make sure that like you're shaving the leather down and like there's more that goes into it as far as thinking about like ergonomics and things too.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's cool. Well, listen, you always, if you ever do want to sell in the future, you always have a spot on the Anthony Venture channel that you can, we'll sponsor you and we'll give a link to your website and everything if you ever do it. So
I
that's,
appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah, man. Listen, first person ever bought the hoodie, you gotta support for life, right? Um, So that's very cool, and I wanted to show everybody that because it is very you're very talented in a lot of different areas, which a lot of people are noticing. Oh, man of many talents. That's Barreto Burgundy. Okay, that's Barreto Burgundy. I also wanted to because you said actually just the other day you mentioned that you cash out MR points for something. Can we go into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say this. You and all the other creators have taught me very different ways to think about like how we go about using our points.
Hmm.
Because in my mind, 1.1 cents per point is a terrible redemption. And it should be a terrible redemption. Um, but I think it was actually I think it was Joe, actually, that now I'm sitting here
Hmm.
talking about this. But taking the time to say like what's more important, the cent per point value or the value that you get with memories with your family,
Yeah.
right? And it's that point of my wife loves cruises because her family cruises,
Hmm.
and we've been wanting to go to Alaska for a long time, right? So we this year went to Utah and we saw all the national parks and stuff, and so we're trying to hit all the national parks and like just do more nature things instead of like just going to a beach and lounging somewhere.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with that, but so we decided that we were going to cash out for next summer. So next summer we're going to do a cruise from Seattle, no, Vancouver up to Anchorage, and then we'll sail the coast there and back down. So it's going to be a 7 day cruise.
Wow.
Um, and like we could have paid cash for it, but my thing was it for 7 days ended up being like around 950 a person, which isn't terrible. But then
No.
when you add in the packages for like all you can eat and all you can drink, like the drink packages and stuff, we're looking closer to like 1360, 1370, almost $1,400 a person. That's expensive, right? Like
And
it's
that's
rough.
you, your wife, and your kid.
No, that's just me and my wife.
Oh, just you and your wife. Okay.
We every year we try to take at least one big trip or a few small trips without our kids, just because I think it's important that like as parents you still have an opportunity to just hang out and be yourselves and remember like why
Hmm.
you fell in love, right? Like
Hmm.
I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
I love my son dearly. He is fantastic. He is my second best friend. But he also gets on my nerves sometimes, and I need a break. And so, like, we decided we were going to take this cruise trip, and so we ended up cashing out like 250,000 MR points
Hmm.
through Charles Schwab, and we took that money, paid discounted the price there for one of our tickets, so we fully covered one ticket, and then we bought our flights from on Alaska Airlines from Indianapolis to Seattle to Vancouver.
Hmm.
And so some of that one ticket we paid with AA points, the other ticket we just paid cash.
Hmm.
So we essentially did like a buy one get one, where it's like, yeah, this didn't cover the whole cost of this trip, but like it heavily subsidized it because when you look at it, it's a lot easier to stomach $2,000 out of pocket than it is 4,000,
Yeah.
right? And so like again, it's going to be a 10-day trip. So we fly Indianapolis to Seattle. We'll be in Seattle for 2 days, and then we're going up to Vancouver. And then Vancouver, we will sail out of port all the way up there, and then we'll be on the boat. Now, there are some stops that we can do to hop on and hop off, but for the most part,
Hmm.
we're on that boat for 6, 7 days, and then we come back down. We're going Vancouver to Toronto, Toronto back to Indy.
Dang, that
So
is
yeah, I think,
great. Mhm.
and again, I want to say like we wanted to wait to do a bigger trip like this until he was a little older. So like he's in daycare, so people will have 3 days a week or excuse me, 5 days throughout the afternoon. They don't have to worry about him because he's in full daycare. And then
Hmm.
also, he's old enough to take directive now. He's not just a small ball of energy that can't be redirected, right?
Hmm.
So by the time he's 2.5, almost 3, hey, when grandma tells you to stop doing something, you understand to not do that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, we're really excited. My wife is like the biggest proponent of those cruises, and I've never been, well, so I've been on some cruises. I've never been to Alaska. I've never been really in that West Coast area. So I've never been to Seattle. So I'm looking forward to that.
Hmm.
And then thinking about like, again, was 1.1 cent per point a good redemption? No. Right. But like, is it a memory making opportunity that we would not have paid full cash for otherwise? Yes.
Hmm. And I
And
think that's yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I think that's a great point because I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was actually you who said this or someone else. It might have been. It might have been some. I don't remember, but it was something about the amount of points that you're spending on something versus either maybe buying the points or cashing them out, and having experiences that you would either use the points for just normally like award bookings or whatever, or just cashing out points and having experiences that you wouldn't have otherwise paid for. You can kind of justify it more because you're cashing out. So like maybe you wouldn't have done the cruise if you didn't think like have this idea of I can cash out points and now would buy it. Maybe if you didn't cash out points, you'd be like, maybe wait another year or maybe do some other type of trip. So I don't know if that was you or someone else who said that, but I thought that was interesting because it does give you a little bit more freedom on what you're going to do. Like for example, for my wife and I's anniversary, I booked a Airbnb cabin
Nice.
out in Tennessee. I thought it was it's really nice, like overlooking trees and all those different things out there. And I was like, I couldn't find it in any other program. I couldn't find it like Expedia or booking through Delta Stays. I couldn't find it. Even I looked on FHR, I looked on Mastercard. I couldn't find it in any of these programs. I think even we were looking through the Venture X's like their portal, and I couldn't find it anywhere. But the one that I was really wanted, and when I looked at was on Airbnb. So I was like, whatever. So I'm going to cash out like 50,000 chase points, and that'll pay for like 2 nights out there. Which it's funny because the math works out that 50,000 points is kind of what I spent for 2 nights at the Hyatt place in Virginia Beach, and it's about the same exact cost of points worth for 2 nights
Nice.
in a log cabin. So I was like, I could get more value than 1 cent per point out of it, but that variability with the points and like don't want to pay for it in cash, use the points for it, justified enough for me to have that experience versus otherwise maybe I wouldn't have paid cash. I would have just done something else. So I don't know. You think of anything like that sometimes?
Absolutely, 100%. So I'm assuming you're going to be like the Smoky. Are you going to be on the Smoky side, or are you going to be
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. That is going to be a beautiful, beautiful trip.
Really?
Um,
Yeah.
but like, to your point, I think it's. Did I just
Wait.
go out somewhere?
Yeah, you went out for a second. You said I think it's and then it cut.
Okay, I think we have been conditioned from like, and I don't do not sue me, points guys, but from like the points guys, thrifty traveler, folks like that, that like you have to go somewhere exotic and like be on a
Mm.
beach somewhere or do something that's like you or I wouldn't spend $30,000 to do this, but with my American Express Platinum card, I unlock these points, right? Like
Right.
sometimes I just want to go do something like that is domestic and really nice, really cool, really fun. Like I don't think people realize how big the United States really is. Like talk to somebody from Europe and they say, "Oh yeah, I was planning on doing New York and Miami in the same trip."
That's right.
How are you planning on doing that?
Yeah.
Like most of our states are the size of most countries.
Hmm.
And so, like, there's so much beauty to be seen. Hell, even Indiana, there are some wonderful waterfalls and like things like that. And like places that you wouldn't normally think about going because, oh, I can't use a Hyatt redemption or a Hilton or a Marriott redemption, or I can't use points to pay for this. So I'm
Hmm.
just not going to do it. And I don't think that that's the way to go about it.
Hmm.
Again, this mathematically speaking, and I know RJ is going to agree with me because she gets so tired of people with this math. Mathematically speaking, it doesn't make sense to do this. From a joy and like experience standpoint, where else am I going to be able to do this? And so I think sometimes we need to decouple the premium 100% optimal way to do things because like and if you live I'm not this is not a shot at anybody. If you live your life 100% of the time thinking about optimizing and being like optimal in everything you do, that's fantastic. I can't do that. Like that is just not for me. Don't live my life that way. I don't use my points that way. Now, am I always looking for at least a baseline value? Sure. But like, you know, I think that I'm not going to miss the extra 1 cent per point that I have a baseline value for MR points or 0.9 cent per point when I can go and my wife are looking at 1,000 bald eagles flying up and down the coast and we just saw a grizzly bear kill a caribou or something.
you yeah, there's no currencies that can get you that. There's no perfect cash out or redemption that's going to let you see 50 bald eagles like that.
Right? Like it's just not going to happen.
That is That is a great point. Actually, I'll mention Joe Brito because he's kind of summing up what I'm thinking just in this moment. I'm just going to put this out there. Kid Cat, you are so freaking cool and so damn knowledgeable. Thank you, Anthony, A.K. Staten Island Open, for bringing him to light. Yeah, man. Hell
I
yeah.
appreciate it, Joe. Thank you. Actually,
Exactly
I
what
think
I
I
was
just became a
thinking.
member on Joe's channel.
Look at that. Look at that, Joe. I mean, you got another mi gente. I love how I could say it in the never mind. Richie, how many 9 out of 10 experiences will we miss out on because you're waiting on a 10 out of 10? Yeah, Richie, freaking
That's a good point.
take your own advice, man. Freaking waiting for your perfect 25-year anniversary to go book. I know you fixed it now. You're gonna go book something sooner, but it's true. It's very true. I don't know why I attacked him so quickly. Well, I think that's a great thing to kind of, I guess, almost go out on. I think you've shared just an amazing amount of stuff today with us. Did you have anything that you wanted to, at least just an overarching message for everybody from your experience in this game?
Yeah, I want to say, well, three things. One, support everybody that you can in the community, right? Like, I'm not a creator, don't plan on creating a YouTube channel, but like, I really truly do love what you guys do, right? Because like, this is a very niche community and niche game that I'm in. And so, like, it's just nice to know that I'm not the only weirdo out here fixating about chase UR and MR points. And so, like, I try to become a member on everyone's channel, do what will allow your finances. But like, genuinely, like, sub, share, like, it helps. Like, I want us to be able to continue to do this for years to come. Um, Also, just use your damn points. Use your points. RJ and Uncle Luke have beat this into me. It is okay to be suboptimal sometimes if you know that you're going to have a great experience, right? Like,
Hmm.
I'm, I think I might be acutely aware of this after like my little health scare. I say little, but after my health scare, to say like I want as much out of life as I possibly can, and I want the people that I love around me to experience that too. Now, granted, kids, you might not be able to go with me and mom to Bora Bora when we go and do it, or to the Alaska cruise, but when we go to Disney World and we're going to go to Hilton and we're going to get a nice corner room so you can see the fireworks and all this other stuff, right? Like, I got zero point 0.4 cents on a redemption for those Hilton points in February. Am I worried about it? No, right? Like, I know that the 5, 7, 9, and 2-year-old are going to be awestruck and imagine not and just going to a 24-hour arcade in a lazy river and having access to Disney characters, right? And Hilton made that possible. Use the points. Sometimes it's not going to be optimal. Sometimes you will cherry pick and you'll get 3 cents per point on the Hilton point. I have not, but you can. And so, like, I just want to say, like, this game is purely about happiness, like, right, and giving you more life. Use that. Like, you can't just sit here. Now, granted, there's a difference between building up for redemption and like
Yeah.
hoarding points because you don't want to be suboptimal. And I think that, if you aren't happy with or getting joy out of your points, then you need to reevaluate that, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with cash back, guys. There's nothing wrong with like also not being in the game. Like, if the game makes you more stressed out than you would be if you weren't playing it, maybe just get out. And that's okay. And like, I think that's something that we don't talk about, to say like, this whole thing that we're doing, the trip that you're going on with your wife for your anniversary, it is so you have joy. It is so that you have happiness. And at the end of the day, what else are we doing than to be happy? Because if you're in the credit card game and you're miserable, you're doing it wrong.
I think that's the best message that everyone could share in this community, man. Thank you so much for that and for being here, man. That is, yeah, that's a great message. I'm with you wholeheartedly behind it, and yeah, honestly, what you do for the community, yeah, you're one of the most supportive people out there. So, hopefully, everyone could give you as much value back as you do for everyone else. So, again, thank you for being here and sitting with me today, man.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me out here. I appreciate it.
Of course, and thank you to everyone who's popped in here for today in this Sunday, at least for me, 2 in the afternoon. Um, Woodsy for the 20 spot, Oakland for the 7 spot, Juan for the 10, and then Joe for the 5, and then John as the the first and last member. Remember, do not join that if you see it. It's just a mistake. But thank you, John, for that. And let me see, who else we got here at the end? We got Oakland, we got Joe, Juan, Xavier, John as well, QC Man. Richie, Mr. Dr. Filmo, right? Dr. Filmo. I never thought about that.
Honestly, I
That's
think I'm
great.
gonna change my Discord name to that now.
Yeah, right. Brian, Sebastian, all these people. So thank you all for being here so much, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the Sunday. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.